Hey, welcome back to English by Kylie. Earlier today, I was thinking about small talk because I've had a lot of different situations lately, from going on vacation, going to a restaurant, where I had to use my small talk skills to get through that conversation or that interaction. So, if you're not familiar with small talk, it's really just a conversation, really not about anything important or necessary, but it's really used to fill in the silence of a situation or to make everyone feel a little bit more comfortable in that situation. So let's kind of talk about when, with who, and where we would use this small talk. Also, stay until the end to do some conversation practice for small talk so that you can practice what you would say, filling in the silence in those strange, maybe sometimes awkward situations so that you feel more comfortable having small talk in English. Really, we can have small talk with just about anyone. The only people we really don't have small talk with is a close friend or a family member, because we already know them so well. It wouldn't make sense to have a conversation about something unimportant. And maybe it would be something unimportant, but we wouldn't say it is small talk. Like, for example, we're talking to a family member about the weather or something. It wouldn't really be small talk because we're comfortable in those situations, and it's not that we're saying it just to fill the silence. This would be more with a colleague that we don't see that often, or a friend of a friend of a friend, or maybe our hairdresser. So let's say, for example, our hairdresser. We've met her 3 or 4 times, but we're not on the level of talking about our families or our jobs. We might choose small talk to kind of break the ice, fill in the silence, and to be a little bit more comfortable while you're sitting in her chair and having her do your hair. Another situation could be with a complete stranger, someone in an elevator. You're going up to your office, you see that they're going to the same floor, and you decide to fill in that silence because it's a long way up and it's just better to say something instead of being silent and then getting off on the same floor and maybe going in the same direction. And then maybe with a friend of a friend of a friend. You've met them once or twice, but you don't know much about them, and it's better to say something because you remember meeting them and you don't want to come off as rude. Okay, now you're probably thinking, okay, Kylie, we know the who, the when, the where, but what about what do we talk about? So there are some good topics to talk about during small talk, and then there are some topics that we should just avoid. So it's a little bit silly, but one common topic for small talk is the weather. People love to talk about the weather because it's something everyone can relate to, and no one feels uncomfortable talking about the weather. So this is a common joke that we have, that if you start talking about that, you're probably just trying to fill the silence and make everyone feel comfortable, and yourself included. And before we talk about some other typical topics, let's talk about some that are best to not bring up. As you can probably imagine, it's best to not talk about political or current events that are causing a lot of controversy or debate and discussion that are currently in the news. Obviously, you can see why this would be a problem. You don't know the other person's opinion. You don't know what they think, and it's best to just avoid it to avoid any problems. But on the other hand, some other news topics could be good topics to bring up. Maybe entertainment news, a new movie that has come out, a concert that just happened the day before. Something big that happened in your city or your town could be a good topic to bring up. And then, of course, kind of like we said before, depending on where you are, like we said, an elevator or at the hairdresser, you could really base your conversation on where you are. So it could be work related, or asking your hairdresser if she's been busy lately. So you can kind of base your conversation starter or your small talk conversation on where you are or what you're doing as well. I'm pretty sure we can all relate to the situations when we're in a social gathering or we're at a social event and we're sitting next to someone that we don't know, and we know it's best to say something, break the ice, make everyone feel comfortable. Let's say a wedding or a party or some type of event like that, where of course you know some people, but there are a lot of people that maybe their face looks familiar, but you don't know them on that level. So, if you're in this situation, there are a lot of good things that you can say to make yourself and the other person feel good. The most common question probably is, oh, how do you know Ryan? Whoever invited you or whoever is the host of that event, if you don't know that person next to you, you can ask them how they know that person or what is their relationship with that person. They might be a cousin, a colleague, but either way, it really opens up the conversation for that other person to respond and say, oh, it's my cousin, but we haven't seen each other in 2 years. And you can respond with, oh, wow, how great is it that you're able to reunite and see each other after so long? So you can see how it can really open up the conversation, and then probably they're going to reciprocate and ask you the same thing. And typically at social gatherings or weddings or events, there's usually food involved. And I think we can all agree that we love food. So this is a good conversation starter. Let's say you're at an event and there's a dinner. Whoever's sitting next to you, you can say, wow, that steak looks really good. I wish I got it. How is it? Something like that, where you're really opening up the question, you're making a statement, but also allowing them and opening up the conversation for them to respond. Or maybe there's a little buffet or appetizers for people to choose from. You can say to another person, oh, did you try the spring rolls? They're amazing. You have to try. And maybe they'll give you a recommendation for you to try. So you can see food is the best way to anyone's heart, and it makes you seem really friendly and open to that other person. And what about the office or in a work environment? We all have times when we're talking to someone who maybe we're not very familiar with. We work with them, but it's not a common person that we work with daily. So this is not just for people who work at the office. We're all familiar with having meetings, especially now online. And we have those moments when we're waiting for some other people to get into the meeting, and we really feel uncomfortable, and it's just better to say something instead of sitting in silence waiting for the others to join. So let's say first at the office, you see someone you've never seen before. You can introduce yourself, ask how long you've worked here, what is their position, questions that really are trying to get to know them, but also making them feel comfortable, because if they're new to the office, probably they don't know many people, and it would be really nice to have someone come up to them and ask them about them as well. Another common question could be, what are your plans for the weekend? Or, you ready for the weekend? This could open a conversation. And of course, the infamous conversation starter, which is about the weather. We love to talk about the weather, and I don't know if this is an American thing. I'm sure maybe other cultures like to talk about this as well, but it's super common and it's kind of funny. So a few good questions or statements in terms of weather could be, did you know that they're calling for rain all weekend? Which means that the forecast says it's going to rain all weekend, and the other person might say, oh no, I had no idea. And then it could continue talking about canceling plans because of the rain. Another one could be, can you believe the storm we had last week? It was unbelievable. And then of course they'll talk about the storm. And finally another one is, wow, the weather has been so great. We're so lucky. This isn't really a question, but maybe they'll respond and say, yeah, I took advantage and I went to the beach last week. It was super nice. So you can see all of these can really continue the conversation for that short period of time that you're interacting with them. Now that we're familiar with small talk, when to use it, how to use it, what to say, let's go into some conversation practice. We're going to have a small talk situation where we're at a party and I'm going to read my line and then you're going to read yours. It's going to be very simple. After I read my line, yours will show up on the screen here so that you can read it. You'll have enough time to read it and see the flow of the conversation. So let's get started. Hey, you look really familiar. How do you know Michael? Oh, okay. That makes sense. I'm sure I've seen some pictures online of you and him together. That's probably why you look so familiar. Oh, wow. 4 years is such a long time. And so are you here visiting or are you here on vacation? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's perfect timing that you can be here at this party, but also see some family that's in town as well. Oh, awesome. And did you come by plane or did you drive? I know the drive is really far, so. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's usually cheaper and it saves a lot of time too, right? Yeah. Oh, have you tried the cocktails that they're making? They're so good. Yeah, you should definitely go get one. It's super, super good. And the food here is really, really spectacular, don't you think? Oh yeah, I tried that. And I also tried the fresh salad. So good. I was not expecting it to be this amazing. Oh yeah, no problem. Go ahead. See you later. Bye. Nice talking to you. So you can see just from that short conversation, a few different topics were covered. How she knows the host, why she's in town, how she got there, about the food, the drinks, and maybe sometimes it can be uncomfortable to participate in these small talk situations, but sometimes it's good to meet someone else, to feel comfortable, to make someone feel welcome if they don't know a lot of people. So even though in the moment it could be a little bit strange at the beginning, it's always a nice option, not just for yourself, but maybe to make that other person feel like there's a friend in the room if they don't know many people. So now that we've talked about small talk and have even done some practice, maybe you can write in the comments a time that you've had to participate in small talk, maybe at a party or at the office or in an elevator, or maybe in line at a store. Tell me your story of small talk. Also tell me, do you love small talk or do you hate it? Because this is a divided situation. Some people love having small talk and communicating with new people, and some people feel really uncomfortable. So what type of person are you? Do you love it or do you hate it? And also let me know if small talk is a thing in your language. In your language or in your culture, do you have a lot of small talk, or do you typically stay to yourself and not really communicate with strangers or a friend of a friend of a friend? So let me know in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can stay up to date with any new videos and continue learning and improving your English. Thanks for watching.